Steve Hamer's joining us now. He managed to work it through, and Jimmy Imes had trouble earlier. I don't know what's wrong with my email, Steve Hamer, but we appreciate you making time. I blame it on Al Gore.
Well, I've heard it said that a good craftsman never blames his tools. So I don't know. I mean,
Steve!
If
Drop the hammer.
If I would have, if Caleb, it's you too. If you would have had the show set up, I could have emailed Steve earlier, and any delay in email would have been fine. So we're
had
both
the show set up half an hour before. This is on you, bro.
Probably is on me. All right.
Always blame the millennial. Okay.
What, Steve? Let me just ask you. What happened last night?
Man, I wish I had a great answer for you. I think it was probably the perfect storm of a team desperate for a win after losing at Rupp Arena by 6, close game, home opener. Number one team in the country is at your place. Rowdy Reptiles are in full effect, in full throat. And a team that came in probably thinking that they were a little bit better than what they are at this point of the season, coupled with the fact that you shoot the ball at the worst clip, percentage-wise, statistically-wise, of Coach Barnes's era. You get out-rebounded, which shouldn't happen. I said it on air last night when we were getting pummeled on the glass that, man, Florida's on pace for 55 rebounds, and it came to fruition. You got out-hustled. You got out-toughened. It was just literally the perfect storm. And, oh, by the way, the stalwarts in which you think, you're still going to have your Chaz Lanier show up and knock down some buckets. Zakai's going to knock down some buckets. Igor, no. None of that happened last night. And it was a game in which, quite frankly, I don't know if you even watched the film, because I don't know much. I don't know if you can get anything out of watching the film. Just a terrible, terrible performance by Tennessee last night.
Well, that's kind of the ultimate when you say you shouldn't even watch the film. Steve, I know that Caleb wants to jump in here. What's your Twitter handle, my friend?
That's a great question.
Okay.
I think Hamer Time 1 is my Instagram handle, and I think it's at Stevie_Hamer, my Twitter handle.
All right, you jump in there. Stevie Wonder was the first to come up, and then Stevie Nicks. But we'll get to Stevie Hamer. Go, Caleb.
Stevie Wonder came up first, but he can't see Steve Hamer's Twitter account. Sorry.
There you go.
I'm going to hell.
Want to make Stevie Nicks' drug problem now that we're on the
top? Wow.
I don't think Stevie Wonder's really blind. I think he faked it all. No, anyway.
Wow.
There's a video of a mic falling and him catching it, guys. And I'm like, how'd you know the mic fell? I'm just saying.
Way off topic.
So, Steve, what are your thoughts on? I called it, and we spoke with Jimmy Hines about this. I call it the Rick Barnes offensive special, which is, this didn't happen last year, but in his past, and it happened last night, once every 9 or 10 games, his offenses just lay an egg. And I guess where I'm going is, I can live with poor shooting. I can live with losing a game. What I think has always been an issue to me with Rick Barnes is that when his offense is in a funk and they're not shooting well, they can't manufacture buckets. And that seemed to return last night. Didn't it seem like they just couldn't even manufacture just a bucket somewhere when they needed to?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'll go much more on a granular level here, but Tennessee for the last few years has been especially susceptible to the drought in terms of scoring. What you haven't seen thus far this season is an extended drought. We've had 2-3 minutes without scoring a bucket, but let's also be honest, the competition that we faced thus far this season, with the exception of Illinois, really hadn't bothered us. You go 2-3 minutes without scoring against a lackluster Virginia team, you're going to be okay. You go 2 or 3 minutes without scoring against Montana, probably going to be okay. That's not the case against Florida, because when you have a team like Florida that can play stifling defense, that has the physicality in the front court and the back court, then all of a sudden the 2-3 minute drought becomes a 6, 7, 8 minute drought. And you had that happen a couple of times last night. So I think you really got to find some answers in terms of, man, when the chips are down, how do we manufacture a bucket? How do we manufacture getting someone driving downhill, and if not finishing, drawing contact and getting to the rim? I think we saw a few glimpses of that last night with Jamal Meshack turning the corner, but he plays off of 2 feet, which is what everybody wants him to do, and then you don't go up. You all of a sudden you're looking for someone to pass it to, and then now all of a sudden it's shot clock running down, and then you get a desperation 3 attempt, and then the snowball effect occurs. So that's got to be something that you got to find the answers to pretty quickly, because if you don't snap and clear, Texas got news for you. They're pretty good, and they're going to be in desperation mode this Saturday. They lost their home opener to a very good Auburn team. Rick Barnes is coming to town, packed house. They are going to want to get a W this Saturday night.
So, adding this because Jimmy made a joke to us, but early at the show. But Steve, since you played for him, how proud would your former coach Kevin O'Neill have been of Tennessee's offensive performance last night?
I think he would have said that we performed pretty well, pretty admirably on the offensive end. He probably would have said that we could have played better defensively, but Florida came into the game averaging nearly 90 points a game, and we gave up 73, 71, if you will, if Darlin Stone doesn't commit that foul with 0.8 seconds left, which I don't know why that happened. But, again, all jokes aside, if you were to have told me that Walter Clayton Jr., their best player, second leading scorer in the conference, would be limited early on with 2 fouls and not have a really productive game in terms of offensively, I would have said, man, Tennessee is going to go away with a W tonight. But it just did not happen.
How was I alone in this, or did Florida to you look more, and this is a disturbing trend to think about, but did they just look more athletic than Tennessee last night, or was it an effort thing?
Combination of both. Both of those things are true. Florida really athletic, and Florida is blessed with a lot of depth, particularly in their front court. I mean, man, they throw 6'10", they throw 6'11", they throw 7-footer. And oh, by the way, I have never, guys, felt small in my life. I stood next to the 7'9" kid yesterday, and I now know what people look at me when they stand next to me, because it was like, oh my goodness. And so Florida is especially deep. They're tough. They're strong. And one of the things that cannot go unnoticed last night was the physicality on the perimeter. Okay, Illinois was tough on the perimeter too, but Tennessee was still able to turn the corner and get to the 10 when they wanted to. That wasn't the case last night, because Zakai got bumped off his spot numerous times. Think of the number of times that our guards went through the paint and got stripped last night. Happened to Zakai several times. Jemai, Igor, you better bring your hard hat when you play Florida, especially getting into the paint, man. It was just a difference maker last night, and we just were not the tougher team, and that was also very, very shocking.
Anything else from you, Caleb, before we let Steve out of here?
Nope, I think I'm mostly good. Well, Steve, were you on that? Because Dave's on the Dalton Connect's not walking through that door. Were you on the Boston team when Rick Pitino said that, or was that the year after?
That was the year after. That was the year after. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What was the quote again?
When Rick Pitino's like, Larry Bird's not walking through that door. And
Yeah. Larry Bird's not walking through that door, but Steve Hamer is. That didn't happen.
Hell yeah. I like that. Do you have a story about Larry Bird?
Man, the first time I met Larry Bird, I marveled. We're all in shock, right? You're in awe. You talk about one of the 5, 10 top greatest players, not only in America, but in the world, right? And so you're in awe. So you reach out to shake his hand, and then it was like shaking hands with like this mangled contraption because all of his fingers had been broken and dislocated, and he's just got fingers pointing in every different direction. And it's like, oh, okay, nice to meet you, man. You ever think about maybe like getting this reconstructed or whatever? But it dawns on me that you talk about one of the greatest shooters of all time had fingers just everywhere. I don't even know how he was able to shoot the ball at such an exceedingly good clip. But man, he is just a great guy, phenomenal player, phenomenal coach, phenomenal person.
Great stuff. I'll probably pick your brain about that. We hope to have you as a regular guest. I'll reach out to you. And Stevie, you're one of my all-time favorites. So thank you, sir. Have a very blessed day, a happy new year, and let's go to lunch. How about that?
I'm in, man. I'll be on as much as you would have me, and let's definitely go to lunch, and let's look for brighter days ahead for Tennessee basketball.
I think Stevie's kind of eyeballing Caleb's job. Stevie,
I think it would be your job he's taken.
Oh, well, probably more good information on the show if that were the case.